Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Super excited about today's show. We got CJ Ham joining us. It's going to be a two-part series, so make sure you tune in this week, and then next week, of course, we're going to sit down with CJ Ham twice. We're talking football. We're talking faith. We're talking Pro Bowl. You got to hear about the Pro Bowl, but also Kirk Cousins. Should he still be a Minnesota Viking? What does CJ think about this offense? And then also, we got to talk about T Swift. T Swift in the Super Bowl, there's been so many tweets, so many comments, so many messages. I got to dive into that as well with Sam Ekstrom. We'll do that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and again, this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thanks, everybody, for joining me, especially you everydayers. I really appreciate you guys that continuously tune in, continuously comment to us on Twitter. Let us know what you think about it. I hope you guys let us know what you think about today's show because I'm super excited about this one. CJ Ham is a friend of ours as well with our family. We've known him since he was a young rookie in the NFL, and now he's year 8. So this is year 10 for me coming up next year with the Minnesota Vikings doing their pregame show. So I'm super excited to get CJ Ham. Why? He went to the Pro Bowl, so we got to talk about that. We got to talk about the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift, but we also have to talk about, there's Justin Jefferson. Is there a correlation between him and Stephon Diggs? You got Kirk Cousins. There's a lot to talk about, CJ. The fullback and the running back in the NFL. We got to talk to him about that. But I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. It's really simple. It's right there on your phone. Your tickets are safe and secure. You don't have to worry about scalpers. And especially you don't have to worry about illegal or invalid tickets. Let's call it that. Gametime's going to have a secure, safe way to do it and with no change of money in public. So as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, I'm super excited about today's show. I don't know if I've said that once, twice, 3 times. I can't, CJ Ham. I love when we get a chance to sit down with CJ Ham. And I realized when I was talking to CJ before, I'm like, man, I don't know if we can do this in one segment. We can't do this in one show. Honestly, and Sam, you know this, we could probably have a whole 4-part series.
Yeah.
With CJ Ham with all the topics we could talk about, all the content. So we're definitely going to have to get him back. Maybe later after maybe Kirk Cousins signs his big deal. We'll definitely have to get him back on the show or something like that. But excited to get CJ Ham coming to the next segment. But Sam, we got to talk about the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna I got my thoughts on it. My first thought on it is Tony Romo screwed up the last call. The more I listen to it, because I know people keep posting and they got different reasons. I think Tony Romo does a fine job. But here's where I feel like he kind of screwed up the Super Bowl. The last play of the game of the Super Bowl is supposed to always be a memorable call, that, the last shot in the NCAA tournament when Villanova comes down and hits the big shot on the pass back, and everybody's talking about the big shot that what's his name, Ray Allen hitting the corner against the Spurs, the announcers and the play-by-play guys calling in, and they just let it breathe, and they're just letting the crowd. You get the Tony Romo is talking and it's not even an excited voice. It's more did that just happen? What is going on right now? Because he's talking during the play and he's yeah, and the time is running out and the play clock was 9 seconds and the game clock was 10 seconds. And that's where he first screwed up because he said the Chiefs could just let the clock run out because it's a whole new game, Jim, and it's a whole new game. So even if the time ends, the Chiefs, they just get to go to the other side of the field and keep playing until they either score, kick a field goal, or the 49ers stop them. Wrong. It was 9 seconds. So if they had let the clock run out, it's going to be a delay of game. Now, would the refs have maybe not thrown the flag because it was a 1 second difference? Yeah, if they had not thrown the flag, then we for sure would be saying this is rigged and they want Taylor to win. So they did probably want that. They're probably screaming Andy, don't do it because we can't just give you say the quarter's over. There's not enough time. So he's talking about that. He's wrong there because you can't let the clock run out. And then when the play happens, his response is, oh, wait a minute. That's the play we were talking about. He was going to motion. Well, here's the reason I'm going to give you the high view of this. The motion didn't affect the play because they were in zone. If you watch when he did the short motion, nobody moves. So technically, we do know that play exists because other teams have run it. Andy Reid has run it before. So for him to say there's the play we've been talking about, he ran it before with Sky Moore. We remember that. He sent Sky Moore in a short motion. Sky Moore goes back out to the sideline, catches it, touchdown. So we know that play works. We know that play exists. Everybody knows it exists, but it's a man beater. What ended up happening was when he did the motion, nothing happened. Nobody moved. So when Patrick Mahomes hiked it and then he goes to the flat, the only reason it worked was because the 49ers won. I think they were kind of dumbfounded what was going on. And then the fact that nobody saw, they were all worried about Travis Kelce. It had nothing to do with the short motion and man coverage and, his guy running. Because we've seen it. His guy thinks he has to run all over the top and he comes back. That's the Sky Moore play. It didn't happen that way. So to try to say this is the play and the Andy Reid play we've been talking about, stop talking. You don't need to tell us that's the play. Just let Jim Nantz do his job and then talk about oh my God, they just won a Super Bowl. So him talking through it to me just kind of ruined it for me. It felt weird. I did get the purple Gatorade right. I know that's what I said.
Nailed it.
Party. I saw the NFL logo. I saw the Super Bowl the Super Bowl logo, and I'm like, it's gotta be purple Gatorade. They're putting that into our eyes to make us think it's not purple. So go everything away from purple. Pick red because that's a little bit of red you see. Oh, it's gonna be red. Or pick orange because we've never done that. Or pick lemon lime. Pick green. No, purple. It's in your face. It's like the movie. I talked about that conspiracy. Will Smith showed them everything he wanted them to see just to make it happen. And when it happens, they don't even know why it happened. It's because we've been giving you to the suggestion. So this is the thing I think. Maybe the Gatorade was random, but the logo forced an Gatorade employee, because they're human, to see the logos purple, to see all this. Even red and purple makes purple. So even if he put a little red in there to make it like a fruit punch grape Gatorade, it's purple. So maybe it was a mix of the two. Maybe it was purple and red, but it came out purple. And so for those that bet on FanDuel, you're welcome. I told you to put some money on it because I didn't know at first. Sam and the guys pointed it out. It's on FanDuel. If you put money on purple, you can thank us. Sam, before I jump in, because I do got some Taylor Swift thoughts on the game.
Yeah.
I do have to do that. We got to put that out on social media. But what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Well, I'll jump in with you on Tony Romo. I thought that the final call, it was honestly, I'm being 100% honest. That was the exact first thing I said when I heard him open his mouth. I said, no, shut up, Tony, because I've got the play-by-play background and right. That's how I view it. And if your color analyst is stepping on that moment, that's inexcusable.
Right.
And honestly, it falls on Jim Nantz to talk to him. It falls on CBS and the producers. Someone needs to talk to him about timing in broadcasting because he analyzed it as if it was the first quarter of a regular season game.
Correct.
When it needed time to breathe. If you remember, Joe Buck in the overtime between the Falcons and the Patriots, he went, White is in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Brady has his 5th. What a comeback. And then it was like a minute of silence. And that's exactly how it should be done. So that irked me as a broadcaster. Game itself, Mahomes establishes the dynasty. He proves why he's Superman. Yep. It wasn't always a pretty game, but I was thoroughly entertained. I mean, I like games that have a little bit of craziness, sloppiness to them, just because it keeps it unexpected, unanticipated. So you had, special teams blunders, blocked extra points. It made it all very interesting. And then the end game stuff with the overtime strategy, it was good. I was compelled to watch every second, and I loved how it ended.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. I did like if I were to turn the TV off and just watch the game, it was a good game. I think a lot of the little stuff like Taylor Swift, I got to go into that.
Yeah.
54 seconds. So that was nothing. 54 seconds of airtime. Her, Blake Lively. Here's the problem with the narrative, and this is what I want to talk to. I want to talk to the people, and it feels like mainly it's people. It's not a certain gender. It's people that are saying you guys need to let it go. Taylor Swift just living her best life. Blah blah. Fine, she is. We know that. They're just a cute couple. They are. We get that. You guys are showing your daughters that you can't be a strong woman and support your man. That's where you're going too far. And this is why I say this. I don't think people hate Taylor Swift. I don't think people dislike her. Her music, like I've heard some songs now that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, she got some bops. She got some bangers. I never cared. Like it didn't matter to me. I'm more annoyed at the people that continuously think they need to tweet that every time just because they know they're going to get engagement from it. And this is my point. Russell Wilson has been married with kids to Sierra, but at one point they were dating. At no point did the NFL ever show Russell Wilson and Sierra. Like, at no point did people try to capitalize off Sierra. At no point did they consistently talk about, oh, Russell Wilson is dating Sierra. Oh, that's so cute. Simone Biles might be one of the greatest Olympic athletes in the history of our world ever. Mm-hmm. She's up there with Michael Phelps, and you can go on and Serena Venus Williams. Simone Biles is that. She's her. Now I get it. Her husband is not a big time piece of the Packers, but he's on the team. Nobody's talking about her. Nobody's showing her reaction nationally during the game. Nobody's tweeting about her. Taylor Swift is a financial help to the NFL. She's a financial help to some of these people that keep tweeting about her. She's a financial help to Fanatics and Nike and the Chiefs for sure. She's a financial help to Christian Juszczyk because when she wore that jacket, everybody started talking about the puffer coat, and Christian Juszczyk got credit for it. And because she made it. Now she has an NFL license to make Super Bowl 58 vests and so on and so forth. And the money's going to go to charity. Great. I think she's doing it for the right reasons. There are some people that are doing it for the wrong reasons. Aaron Andrews tweeting, I'm sobbing in tears seeing Taylor Swift wear my Wear by E apparel to the game. I'm just in tears right now. Really? Really? Okay. I get it. Like if Taylor Swift were to wear a Minnesota Gopher shirt I sent her, I'm not in tears, but that's me. But also, she didn't just say it. She tagged her line. She tagged her account for them to be able to go by the Wear by E account because it creates people, people who've never even heard of Wear by E, but then they're like, oh, wait, Taylor Swift's wearing it? Let me click and see what she got on. Oh, let me get that necklace. Oh, let me get this for my team. And so I get it. It's all a month. Like the commissioner is up there talking to Taylor Swift. Now, she is a billionaire, like singer, all over the globe. Do I think, and this is where I'm kind of wondering, and you tell me this, Sam. Mm-hmm. If Beyonce had decided, instead of Jay-Z, to trying to think who she could have dated. All these guys are too young for her. But if we could go back in time, maybe. And Beyonce, because even Gisele Bündchen with Tom Brady, I don't feel like it was mentioned and then it was it. There was never a Gisele cam at games and a Gisele watch at games. Is she coming? Victoria's Secret wasn't trying to put out Tampa Bay bras and panties or Patriots bras and panties. There was there was none of that. But they saw an opportunity with Swift. They did. They saw an opportunity with her. And I don't know, if Beyonce, who could she have dated? Could she have dated, let's say Devontae Adams? I don't know. What other tight ends are out there that we love? Because I guess tight ends are the way to
Gronk.
Go now.
Beyonce and Gronk. What do you think?
Beyonce and Gronk, because Gronk's
couple.
out there. Does Beyonce get that coverage dating a Gronk? I don't know. I don't think so. I just don't. I don't want to make it about anything besides financial gain. Maybe because Beyonce is a world-renowned artist and she did get TV time, her and Jay-Z, but she also announced she had a album coming out, so that was probably part of the reason why they did it. Jay-Z's also on the board of the NFL, like he joined it to help out with diversity and forgot like their overall branding when they were struggling and going through stuff with Colin Kaepernick. So we do know Jay-Z signed a deal, and his Rock Nation brand, company signed a deal with the NFL to be consultants for the NFL. So maybe that's why Beyonce was shown a little bit, but I'm fine with Taylor Swift. I'm just sick of the people trying to make it about more than what it's about. It's not about showing your daughter, because like I've listened to young girls talk about Taylor Swift because I'm around them with softball and other sports. A lot of the young girls don't even get it. They're like, why are we talking about her and I'm trying to watch football? Like, why are they talking about Taylor Swift? And who is Travis Kelce? Who cares? Like, so it's kind of worn on everybody, but it was a financial gain. They showed the numbers. I forgot what tweet showed that, but they showed the numbers and how much money, revenue, like how many people streamed it later just to watch some of that stuff. So with all that said, stop it with the tweets about Taylor Swift. It's not showing anybody's dad anything. It's a financial gain. But speaking of CJ Ham, he had a hilarious overtime like moment with the Colts, and he's going to talk about that. I don't know if that's this week. We might get him to talk about it next week, but we got to get him to talk about it. But there's so much to talk about with CJ Ham, but we'll do that and much more coming up next on the Hang Around Johnson segment. We have a word from our sponsors.
We're brought to you today by Gametime. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I like that they've got tickets not just for sports. They've got it for comedy. They've got it for music. They've got it for theater. Everything in your area. View all the seats from the venue, and they've got event cancellation protection in case something should occur. And they've got deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts if you want to join the game at halftime. It's the place to find last-minute deals. And with zone deals, you pick the section. Gametime picks the seats for big-time savings. So if you want to get to a game, download the Gametime app. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Well, we talked enough about Taylor Swift. We talked enough about the Super Bowl. Let's move into some Vikings talk. I got CJ Ham joining me in the Hang Around Johnson segment. I know a lot of fans. I see the tweets. Trust me, I see it. I know a lot of the fans were tweeting right after the Super Bowl. When are the Vikings going to make a Super Bowl? It's coming. They got the people. They got the talent. They got the offensive weapons. Well, we're going to bring one of those weapons into the Ron Johnson show now. That's CJ Ham. I've watched this guy grow up. I've been working for the Vikings and Fox and NBC, everybody, K-Fan, whoever. Almost this is my 10th year now. I'm feeling old. I got the gray beard. But I've seen CJ grow up in this offense. I've been extremely proud of him, not just as a football player, but as a man. Because I know the mistakes I made as a young player, and just seeing a guy take the higher road, do the right things, be an athlete and a family man. You don't see that often. You don't get enough praise. So CJ, first, man, I want to thank you for that, man, because you are truly a beacon of light for a lot of young fathers, man. Whether you know it or not, don't stop being you. But also, you're one of the best fullbacks in the NFL. You went to the Pro Bowl, so also, Ron Johnson show claps for that, but I want to thank CJ Hannon for joining me on the Hang Around Johnson segment. CJ, man, how was that? You got the call. You're going to the Pro Bowl. What went through your mind right away?
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything you said. Definitely means a lot. Means a lot. Doesn't go unnoticed. Like you said, just trying to be me, and whatever that is what it is. But yeah, I got to go to my second Pro Bowl. Exactly the same exact way I went the first time. Ironically, the same two teams are playing in the Super Bowl, but yeah, it was awesome. It's something I think I've been Kyle Juszczyk's alternate for the past, I think, 5 years. So and they've always had a chance to go. So every single year I'm sitting there watching the game, getting ready to like, oh yeah, we might go to the Pro Bowl again. They were able to pull it off and make it to the Super Bowl. So to get that call, to know we're going to get a nice trip to the Pro Bowl, nice trip to Orlando, was pretty excited. My kids are looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I saw your kids down there. So your dad got to go, your family, your wife. Saw some funny moments. I mean, my wife and your wife are friends. You've opened your house up to us before. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. But I saw a funny moment with you and your family where your wife's trying to get like a special moment on the field with you and the kids, and your one daughter's like, I need to go to the bathroom. Where's the bathroom at? So, what people see is like the real of social media, and they think, oh, it's so perfect. And then you see the real. Like, you still got kids. Kids still don't care that you're a Pro Bowl fullback, trying to create a social media moment, man. How was that too, navigating kids' schedules, being tired, I need to eat, Steph's doing all the work down there while you're down there, watching Jason Kelce smoke balls through a hole and miss miss all of them. But how was that navigating the kids down there?
It was good. They did a really good job of allowing us to have a lot of free time. So us having minimal obligations was a little different than when I went in 2020. So after the 2019 season, a little different. We had more obligations, more things to do. But this time it was pretty free. We had a couple quick practices, but for the most part, it was just family time. And they had us staying at a brand new hotel that had just they had just finished building it a couple weeks beforehand. So we were the first people to stay there. They had this like super nice man-made ocean in the middle of the place where you can canoe on, and so we just had a great time. Kids had a great time swimming. We got to go to Disney for 9 hours, which was great, but my feet and back were killing me the next day. So it was good. We were able to kind of get in and get out whenever we needed to. And like you said, my wife did most of it, and she's the true superhero of that trip. So.
And when you think about so back in the day, I don't even know the rules now because I got to get a chance to go to the Pro Bowl. And as a player, I just was a guest of Ed Reed. Ed Reed and we drafted together. So not our first year. He didn't make it the first year, but the second year, Ed Reed was one of the best safeties in the league. So Ed Reed made the Pro Bowl that year. Gary Baxter, Chris McAllister, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, Jamal Lewis, mm-hmm. Todd Heap. Like we had, I think, 7 or 8 guys make the Pro Bowl. And so because of that, and the atmosphere down there, when you have that many teammates make it, a lot of your teammates go. Yeah. So we were down there like taking over. Like we were down there, like I think we were at one point like 40 guys deep because each guy had invited like 2 or 3 guys because you get all the tickets and you can use. So Reed like had an extra plane ticket. He said, hey man, you want to go? I got a plane ticket for you. So I'm like, bet, I'm there. Say no more. So I packed up quick, grabbed, a couple pairs of, this is Hawaii though, so it's a little bit different, but grabbed a couple pair, Honolulu, so grab up a couple pair of shorts and just kind of took over. So when you think about like you, DePaula, and then who else was down there? Was it just you two or?
And D Hunt.
And D Hunt, yep. So you 3 being down there, man, did you guys get any chance to do any like team stuff? Because it's different now. Like back then it was like, oh man, the winners get 20 grand or the winners get 40 grand, losers get 20. Does it still matter? Like, is there an actual point system that changes the dollars, or does everybody get the same amount of money now for going?
Oh no, it's a big price difference.
Okay,
I'll definitely tell you that. So
okay,
it's a big price difference, which it made all the little mini games and the flag football game pretty serious. Guys,
okay.
Guys are on the sidelines like, hey, y'all lock in real quick. So it may seem like all 20 games to everybody watching, but no, everything mattered, and it was fun to be serious about it, and also not have the fear of somebody getting hurt or getting their head knocked off or anything like that. Just having a fun flag football game, but we're definitely taking it serious.
Because then it was 20 and 40. Like, you don't have to say what the winners got, but what do the losers get now?
I think 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
So inflation has taken the losers to the winners. So then my guess is the winners must get 60 or 80 because then it was 20-40. So now you're talking 40 grand if you lose this flag football dodgeball. So yeah, I'm trying to take a dude's head off. Like, yeah, you about to feel this dodge. Like you're gonna have to duck dodge because I saw you. I don't want to mess it up because I know it's like I know all the dodgeball movie people.
Yeah.
Dodge, dive, something, and duck again. And I saw you go flat back, like you went straight. Like, did you train, or was that just natural instinct to just hit the ground?
I grew up in like the Boys and Girls Club and the community centers. So dodgeball was something that I've done a lot of, and I worked at community centers my whole life too. So like. I'm not shy when it comes to dodgeball. We did a little team bonding event at the end of training camp.
Okay.
And like we were playing dodgeball on that thing too. And I think I I hit the splits and like did the same thing. Hit the splits, dodged the ball, and everybody was just like, "What did I just watch?" So it's dodgeball, something that I like to do. It's fun. I'm definitely at it.
Wait, bro, can you still do the splits?
I did in that moment.
Oh my goodness! Like, oh man, you're like a limbo champ. So I promise you this: next year's Pro. So you know what? You guys are going to Super Bowl, so we ain't gonna talk about Pro Bowl. But if you get to a Pro Bowl again, because you are the best fullback, we know that. I promise you, if you hit the splits, you will be the legendary viral player. Like, you will have so many marketing opportunities after that. Because that video is going to do 50 million. Like, NFL player does the splits to miss a dodgeball, or if you do the splits and catch it, oh my goodness, that's 50 million. Trust me, that's you going to surpass Cat Williams and Shay. I don't
know about that one.
Man, hey, you hit the splits. Oh, well, you know what? Cat dropped some absolute like dimes in that one, though. I will give him that. But I mean, you definitely breaking some of these other ones. Like, we've seen some viral moments, and you'd be up there synonymous with, because you would become a meme. Like, you would become like Kurt Angle. I know his is the new one, because he at the end of his TikTok, he's like, "Okay, are we done? Can I go now?" Like, you would hit, like, it would be like somebody would say like, if I'm tired of this, if I do this, it's time for y'all to go. Like, and it's your video doing the splits. Like, trust me, you would go viral, and then you'd also be one of the most athletic fullbacks anybody's ever seen. Because I know Juszczyk hurdled somebody, and everybody was trying to say he was like super. And I'm like, I've seen CJ do that. Like, like, it's just like, come on now. Like, y'all can't just think that one fullback can only do this and he's the only one. Like, there's multiple hurdling fullbacks out there, man. But another moment I want to talk to you too, man, because I know this came up. And I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but I got a text message. I'll show you. I'll actually probably screenshot, send it to you. Reggie Wayne. I text Reggie Wayne because I coached him with the Colts. And so I stay in touch with Reggie. I didn't do much. I told Reggie, when you make it to the Hall of Fame, man, just give me 1% credit, because I was probably 1% of his production. Like, only thing I did was tell him when he looked tired in practice, and I made sure that Clyde Christensen and Tom Moore knew what routes he wanted to run based off where we were in the red zone, green zone, or if we were in neutral. And that's all I did. That's big time, though. That's big time. That's all I did. I was like, hey, we're in the red zone. All right, Reggie wants a bang 8, man. Give him a bang 8. Send Ben Utek up the seam. Reggie said he's got the bang right now. That's really all I would do. Or Reggie's not going in this series because it's preseason. Like, he's over here with me. So get somebody else, get Pierre Garçon in there. That's all I did. I literally, like, Reggie, I got to ask him, like, dude, you're a Hall of Famer. Like, what do you want me to do? I had him and Marvin Harrison, and Tony Dungy told me this. He's like, look, because Tony Dungy coached my dad. I don't know if you knew that story. Tony Dungy in 1980 came back to the Steelers to be a coach, or 81. And so he played with my dad in 79. They won a Super Bowl together. Then he left, went to the 49ers, and came back. Chuck Noll hired him as a coach. And so he had Mel Blount, Donnie Shell, and my dad as his DBs, and he's their age. And so that was me. I was Reggie and Marvin's age, and I'm younger than Marvin. And I'm like, me and Reggie were the same age. I'm like, I asked Tony, I'm like, what do I do? He's like, look, you ask them what you do. Like, you ask them. Like, that's what he did with Mel Blount. He's like, Mel Blount was one of the best corners ever. He's like, I can't coach him. He was like, Donnie Shell, like, I asked them, what do you need from me? And that's what I did. I went to Reggie, and I'm like, what do you need from me? And so he told me. But Reggie, I text Reggie. I haven't texted Cato June this, because I'm definitely going to do it. And I saw the schedule. Colts are coming back to Minnesota. The Colts are still, CJ. Reggie Wayne still. At first, I said, hey, man, you come back to Minnesota, man. Let's make sure we get dinner. He's like, man, I'm still not over that last year's game. Like, he still won't let it go. Like, he knows we're gonna go to dinner, but he had to make sure to remind me, like, hey, man, because I didn't even bring it up. I was just like, hey, man, I saw the schedule, man. Y'all coming back to Minnesota. Let's make sure we grab dinner again. He's like, man, I'm not even over last year. Like, bruh, like, I didn't even bring that up. So understand, man, y'all hurt their feelings. Like, their coaches, man, are still hurt. And so with that said, when you went up for the coin toss, you made a face. What were you thinking in that moment? Like, what was going on through your mind?
Man, that's that was a moment for sure. That was a moment for sure. And Buddy, so I was just looking at Buddy, like, yeah, man, like that really just happened. We're right here right now. And he was not entertained, like, at all.
He didn't crack a smile. He didn't do nothing.
Yeah, man, that was nuts. I understand why why they're still upset about that game. I mean, the largest comeback in NFL history, right? Like,
yeah,
is what it is. So, yeah, that was a crazy game in and of itself, man. Just crazy.
And when you think about that, yeah, being down 33, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, if I didn't have to do the post-game show, I don't know if I would have stayed. Because my wife has texted me and she's literally like, what should I do with the girls? Because she had brought my daughter and her friend to the game, and they were sitting like up in the suites, and she's like, should we go? Should we stay? What do you want to do? And I was like, that's up to y'all. I was like, I gotta stay. So that's up to you. And so she stayed, which was the best. Like, my daughter, like, that's the one thing, like, when I'm 60, I'm like, my daughter will be able to tell my grandkids, like, oh, like, when grandpa was calling the game with the Vikings pregame show, like, I saw the best comeback in NFL history. Like, she actually witnessed that as a 12-year-old. And so you were a part of her memory, like, because she asked me later, she's like, why was CJ on TikTok? And I was like, what? And so I went to the video and I was like, oh my God.
It blew up, man.
Because when we were doing the postgame show, we didn't, like, that wasn't like a video that we saw yet. Like, we didn't see that until later. Like, all that stuff started coming out later of, like, the face and the dude not being happy. And then Reggie Wayne, like, I text him after the game, like, hey man, that's a tough one. Like, all I got back was like an emoji. Like, he didn't even want to talk to me. Like, they wouldn't even talk to me for like 2 weeks. They were so, and I personally, honestly, like, because that's their job, their coaches. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I didn't even, like, literally, I didn't rub it in. I didn't want to say nothing because I'm like, that's tough.
Yeah.
33-0. That's tough as a coaching staff. Like, I talked to their coaches about that. But when you think about that moment too, man, being in that, like, what was going through your mind even being down 33 at halftime?
Yeah, it's we've told this story a handful of times, but I just remember we all went in. It was weird because everything bad was happening in the game, right? And I was thinking on the sideline, I'm like, yo, I've never been a part of something like this where literally everything that could go wrong is just going wrong.
Right.
You know, it was weird. And like, I wasn't even like to the point where like I wasn't angry. It was the weirdest feeling. Like, I still say to this day that it was like, it had to be some supernatural thing. I don't know, because we were all just like, man, this is just a weird game. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening. We all went into the locker room, and it wasn't like anybody was super upset or anything like that. Like, Pat P just said, all we need is 5 touchdowns. Like, that's literally all my man said. And we was just like, bet. All right, sounds good. Like, let's do that. And there wasn't no big halftime speech.
Right.
So it was just like, hey, we need 5 touchdowns. Let's go out there and get back in this game, and we did it. So and so the overtime, because you did the overtime and you had the coin toss. And actually, just before we started, but I do want to get this out there. The coin toss for that game, that was if you score a touchdown, game's over. Or whatever, if you kick a field goal, they get a chance and then you can stop them. Super Bowl, they've changed that now. You score a touchdown, the other team gets to score a touchdown. The 49ers player, so Hughes check, George Kittle, like, it's all on social media now because all the interviews from last night are starting to come out. They all said, and even Shanahan, they were all like, well, we knew the rule had changed, but we didn't even think about that. Because Kittle's saying, well, why did we take the ball first if we were going to get a chance anyway? Because now we put the pressure on them that if they go for 2, we know where we stand. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs were saying we were hoping they took the ball because we wanted them to score first because we were going to go for 2 to win it. So, like, the Chiefs already had a plan. Chris Jones is saying they already had a plan. They knew, like, if we win the toss, let them have it. If, they win the toss, hopefully they take it. End of the day, we want them to score first so we can score and go for 2 and just put it into this and not even go back and forth of 7-7-7 and then over, then sudden death. Did you because you what is your thoughts on that? Like, the 49ers, now it's sounding like Shanahan didn't prepare them. The Chiefs, he was well aware of this rule change. I know that, like, it wasn't blown up for everybody to know playoff Super Bowl change, but why do you think that is? Like, the 49ers weren't as, like, aware? Yeah, I mean, so first off, like, I remember when the rule change happened, but it wasn't something that, like, I thought about. Once it went into OT, like, if the commentators weren't talking about the rule change, it wasn't like I knew, like, hey, this is the new Super Bowl rules. This is going to happen X, Y, and Z. And that could have been like the same thing that was going on over there too, if that's the case. We all play this game. We've all played this game for so long. We've been in so many overtime games that in the heat of the moment, those things happen. You're in the Super Bowl, the heat of the moment, like maybe you're not thinking about that because like you said, if that's the case, and Kansas City knew that, like, that is exactly the right approach, right? You want to give the other team the ball because you're always going to have a chance. Like, right. I feel like any coach would say that if they're put in that situation, but things happen in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, because it's crazy. One of the players said it. He said they had them sit there and talk about it. He had them figure out what was going on. He said they looked at the Jumbotron, and that's when they saw it. They looked up at the Jumbotron and saw the rule had changed, and they were like, oh, okay. And he's like, a couple players said that's when they knew it. And I'm like, that's crazy. Because I know when the Vikings went overtime, I'll never forget with the Colts, one, we were all baffled too, but then we looked at the overtime rules too, because they do it. They like kind of let the fans know, hey, this is what's about to happen.
Yep. And
so it happens in Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, and that's when the 49ers knew. But the Chiefs, they say they practice it. But let's move forward though, like looking at the Vikings, because you play for the Vikings. We gotta do a tie-in with the Vikings, of course. When you look at the future of the Vikings, you look at your time with the Vikings, all that stuff going on, offense, defense, plays, coaches. You got for sure Brian Flores is going to be the coach. You've been around a while. You've seen Stephon Diggs come and go. You've seen Everson Griffin come and go. You've seen Chad Green. Like you've been here. Harrison Smith, some of the old guard. How is that for you though, knowing like, hey, there could be a quarterback change. Hey, we could have another, receiver contract situation. Because you've been here for it. Do you just kind of say, you know what, it's part of the game. I've been in this business, or, does it sometimes, do you sometimes wish you could kind of help out and say, hey man, let's just do this because I know this will help us win?
Yeah. It's being in this league now that was year 8 for me. Like that's one of those things where you see so many people come and go.
Yeah.
There's not one person from my draft class that's even still on the team, and there's only a handful of us that are even still playing in the league. So
yeah.
The league stands, for not for long, right?
Yep.
A lot of things happen, a lot of changes happen. So you kind of just learn to not put yourself so far into those things that you can't control. That you sometimes have no true opinion about because there's nothing you can do about it. And
right.
And like you said, there's a quarterback situation going on. We got the best wide receiver in football that's up for a contract pretty soon. Like those things are gonna have to be attended to and taken care of. And I don't try to speculate too much. I obviously I want. I think Kirk's the bomb. he's been my quarterback for the past 6 years, and he goes out there and proves it every single year that he's a top quarterback in this league. This year specifically, obviously him getting hurt was unfortunate, but I think the fan base also was able to see how much he truly means to this team, and the way that he plays and the way he goes about taking care of his business. So that will all be shaken out the way it's going to shake out in the weeks and months to come. I wish I could do something about it, but the only people that know are the people that know, and whatever happens is going to be in the best situation for both sides.
Yeah, well, we got the Daily 3 coming up next. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Brought to you today by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So find a nice-looking money line, win that bet, and then get $150 straight to your account, which you can sprinkle over NBA, college basketball, maybe some NHL as well. Bet all your favorite NBA players and teams, quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and plenty more. FanDuel.com/LockedOn, the website to get started and shoot your shot. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app or go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Well, now it's for the time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
Ron, the Wolves in a battle for the West lead last night at Crypto.com Arena in LA, and they clowned the Clippers 121-100, outscored them 40-19 in the third quarter, pulled away, Didn't have any fourth quarter shenanigans this game. A dominant win for the Wolves on the road to stay in control in the West. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, they were 54% from field goal, so like 54%, and then the Clippers shot 40. That was the first thing I saw. Like the 3-pointers, they were even, 11 for 34, 9 for 28. The free throws, 18 for 19. I think that was a big part. We talked about that before, making your free throws. But then the rebounds, they had the edge in the rebounds. Assists. That's what I'm liking about this team now. You and I don't know if it's just the Monte Morris ad, but Mike Conley seems like he's always making the right decision, and the team seems to enjoy being unselfish. Like it's almost like they're starting to click, and they're starting to really they've already clicked, but now it's like they're finding the guys, and everybody's kind of contributing. They're getting really good minutes from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think that's the other part of this. Like he gave him, I think, 15. So when you see a guy like that come in and you can be another scorer off the bench, I feel bad for, like we said, we talked about Troy Brown Jr. and Shake Milton, but they had to figure it out. And so the other thing I look at, though, like a 13 assist edge, which means they're doing it. The blocks, 4 more blocks than the other team. Turnovers, 2 less. Points in the paint, 64 to 42. That's like, to me, that Sam, that's like a complete team victory. I thought that they would have a collapse in one of these games. They're probably going to go 3-0. So I'm glad I bet against them, because maybe they're making me a true believer. It's just so tough because you're in Minnesota and you feel like the other shoe's going to drop. But these guys are good. If you're making baskets, you're making baskets. If they stay healthy, they're good. But I was really happy to see the whole of it. And Harden, because people can say with it, Harden, Kawhi, and PG 13 all put up double digits. I think it was 18, and 17 when I last checked. But yeah, that third quarter, that was the key. Outscored them by 21 points, and they never gave up that 21-point lead. So that's just a big part of how they have to do it. You cannot have fourth quarter collapses, because this team seems like every time they come out the third quarter, they're going to set the gym on fire. And I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it well. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the most fun Wolves games to watch. Anthony Edwards was trying to bank in threes in the fourth quarter just for fun, because they were ahead by so much. Drives, dunks, acrobatic lay-ins. They were relentlessly attacking. It was the best Wolves performance of the year, I think, would be fair to say, in a really tough place to win. They've got Portland tonight, trying to keep the winning streak going. And I'll turn it now to Kyle Shanahan. You alluded to him earlier. He's now lost 3 Super Bowls, 1 as a coordinator, 2 as a head coach, where his team held a 10 or more point lead. How much blame does Shanahan deserve?
So I'm tough. It's tough for me to give a coach that. I've talked to PJ Fleck about this before, because we know we've seen the Gophers have some weird games like Northwestern. And I always wondered, I'm like, as a coach, when you call this, and this, why not do this? And he's like, look, when we practice our plays, when we put the stuff together, it all looks like it's going to work. The players practice it. They have to execute. And so I do put a little bit on the players. How are you, the Falcons for sure? What are y'all doing? Just complete the pass. Just make the right throw. Because I guarantee if we were to go back and look at some of those Matt Ryan throws in Atlanta versus the Patriots, there's probably a couple guys who just dump the ball off. Just throw it this way. Take the easy play that can get you a first down. Because there was a lot of Matt Ryan trying to go to Julio Jones, trying to make the big play, or keeping his eyes on him too long. The defense a little bit, maybe just more like Detroit, CJ Gardner-Johnson, just a little bit too much of hey, okay, we beat you, it's over, we're about to get our Super Bowl rings. So for me, I just wonder that, how much of that do we put on the players as well? We can't really do it without watching the complete film and actually knowing what the coach's call, what the thought was. But you do put a little bit on the coach. You have to, because they get paid the most out of their staff, and they are the general managers of that field. They're not the general managers of the team, but of that field, they manage the entire game. So yeah, you got to put it on them a little bit, because any other coach, if he didn't have that last name, they would be all over him. If that was a different coach, if that was Kevin O'Connell or Brian Flores or, Kevin Stefanski, they're all over those guys. And that's the big difference, is they're not going to, I think Belichick can get away with it. Shanahan has the name. They love his, offense is unstoppable. But yeah, I think you got to give him some blame. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the exact situations that he kind of bungled in the previous Super Bowls. But let's also consider he ran into Brady, Mahomes, and Mahomes. Like, those are the quarterbacks that did it to him, and they've done it to a lot of other teams too. So I think, the worst one is obviously Atlanta. 25-point lead is just inexcusable. Run the ball a little more in the second half, and you win that game. Last one, Ron, Valentine's Day tomorrow. So in honor of the Day of Love, who do you love right now in Minnesota sports the most? Who are you going to give your Minnesota sports Valentine to?
I'm going to give my Minnesota sports Valentine to the Timberwolves. I do. I really appreciate good basketball. They're giving the town something to cheer for. They're making Minnesota as a state relevant right now. Even though the media, like, I could look over the media now and they're talking about the Knicks get stunned by the Rockets. Okay. Like, it's a big market. We know that. New York, LA, like, they're going to talk about those markets. That's where it's at. If it's not, if it's the Patriots because they're winning, but that is that East Coast Boston, so they'll talk about the Celtics. Minnesota's just not, they don't get the big market talk. So I'm going to give them the big market heart. Like, I'm going to give my Valentine that says, like, roses are red, violets are blue. You guys are the Timberwolves, and I love you. Like, that's what I'm giving my heart to the Timberwolves. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Rudy Gobert as sort of an apology. Like, hey, we were really hard on you, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to break up, and I'd like you to stay, and I love you, Rudy. Don't go anywhere.
Rudy, don't go. But that'll do it for us today. I hope everybody enjoys CJ Ham. Please tune in next week as well. We'll have some more CJ Ham exclusive interview stuff. He's going to really open up a vein to us. We're going to have a lot of fun, though. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Extra. I want everybody to know. Make sure you find Locked On Sports Minnesota 24/7 on our YouTube live stream for all your favorite Minnesota sports shows around the clock. It's Vikings, Wild Wolves, Twins, and Gophers, all hours of the day. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everybody that continuously downloads, likes, shares, comments, interacts with us. Tell a friend and tell another friend that we are doing this. This is the Ron Johnson Show. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota, and we're very thankful for all you guys. Have a great one, and enjoy your Valentine's Day.